What materials are used in forced perspective? If you're curious about the materials used to create those mind-bending forced perspective illusions, you're in the right place. Let's break it down step by step. To start, forced perspective is all about tricking the eye into seeing things that aren't really there. This technique is often used in filmmaking and photography to make objects appear larger, smaller, closer, or farther away than they actually are. One of the key materials you'll need is a camera. It doesn't have to be a fancy one. Even a smartphone camera can work well. However, if you have a digital camera, especially one with a full-frame sensor, it can make a big difference. A wide-angle lens is crucial for creating this illusion, as it allows you to capture more of the scene and make the foreground element appear larger or smaller relative to the background. Next, you'll need some props and sets. For example, in films like The Lord of the Rings, the filmmakers used different-sized props and sets to create the illusion of hobbits being smaller than humans. They built half of a table smaller than normal and placed the Gandalf character closer to the camera than Frodo, making Frodo appear smaller. In terms of specific materials, you might use wood, plastic, or even 3D printed objects to create your props and sets. For instance, in the example from the SolidWorks blog, they used 3D printing to create blocks of different sizes to demonstrate the forced perspective effect. They also used clear Prex rods to support the objects, which could then be removed in post-processing to maintain the illusion. Lighting is another important material, or rather, factor. Natural lighting or well-planned artificial lighting can make or break the illusion. You need to ensure that the lighting falls naturally on your scene so it doesn't give away the trick. This means paying attention to the shadows and highlights to make everything look as realistic as possible. Finally, the background and foreground elements themselves are critical. These can be anything from buildings and mountains to small rocks or flowers. The key is to choose elements that contrast well in size and distance to create the desired illusion. For example, if you're taking a photo, you might place a small rock in the foreground and a large building in the background, using a wide-angle lens to make the rock appear larger than it is. By combining these materials and techniques, you can create impressive forced perspective illusions that will leave your audience amazed. Whether you're a filmmaker, photographer, or just someone who loves to play with visual tricks, understanding these materials is the first step to mastering this art.